Biz Dev Live. Weekdays at 11 Eastern Time. Biz Dev Live. Weekdays at 11 Eastern Time. Biz D with C. Brought to you by Cameron T. Biz D with C. Brought to you by Cameron T. This is business development, not even selling it. This is intelligent. If you watch it, I promise you benefit. Leadership and motivation, empathy and inspiration. Leadership and motivation, empathy and inspiration. Biz Dev Live, weekdays at 11 Eastern Time. Biz Dev Live, weekdays at 11 Eastern Time. Biz D with C, brought to you by Cameron T. Biz D with C, brought to you by Cameron T.
Just to sprinkle a little context on this, and so many of the conversations that I have on Biz Dev Live, yes, we're talking about business. Yes, we're talking about how you make your money, how you set your mindset to walk into the business, to do some of the best practices so that you can, we'll talk a little bit about real estate, a little bit about how you set yourself up for a good mortgage, right? But the idea, and I love it, whether it's physical fitness, relationships with your spouse, children,
Definitely.
right? Building that time in and figuring out ways. So you're killing essentially two birds with one stone. You're saving a little bit of money on the car, and you're building some time in with your spouse, even though that might create some challenges in and of it itself. You're creating some time where you kind of need to rely on each other and build that relationship. I love it. Keep going.
Definitely. And everything that you're saying is 100% correct. So the understanding behind it is an easy concept, right? So why don't more people do it? I think that we as a whole, we look at like the negatives, be positive. Positive things happen to positive people, right?
And just we'll sprinkle in some of the negatives, right? Oh, you don't have your own car. Oh, you got to ask your wife, right? So it's some of the stuff that other people are going to say, which
absolutely,
if you're trying to get ahead, you're trying to live not only within your means, but in a way where, because you could spend $400, $500, $600 or more dollars a month on a car payment, correct, or you could be investing in stocks, real estate, cryptocurrency, true, things that could actually bring more money into your bank account, right?
So if we fast forward a little bit based on what you just said, right? Let's say the economy crashes again tomorrow, right? Knock on wood, it doesn't. But let's say something drastic happens in the next few years and you didn't have that car and you didn't have those extra things that you didn't need, and you played the game right. Don't you think that you're going to be in the absolute best situation to buy, invest, get ahead? That's your opportunity. It's not buy high, make more money. Okay, it never was. It was work hard and retire. Okay, and then I think when you come from a place of hard work, grind, young children. My wife had her first kid at 18. When you have that first taste of the real world, which is kids. Okay, now not everybody has kids, and I get it, right? And everybody has their own prerogative. But at the end of the day, I have kids, so you can't take that away from me. I think your mindset completely changes. When I had my daughter, I really realized I was responsible for people, not just my son who can fend on his own a lot of the time, and I was almost at the worst place in my life. I was on the verge of bankruptcy. There was no mortgage market. There was no lending. I thought maybe I should try to find another hobby, or job per se, and it just, I don't groove. I feel so lost in like the wood shop world, it's like if you were to take me and put me in wood shop or auto class, like I would be so lost. But at the same time, I think at some point I would get it at this point, COVID really affected a lot of people. I was already trying to figure out how to make the job mobile, remote, spend more time with your family. I was already on that course. I did an interview January 2020, just before COVID. I was talking about homeschooling your kids already. Okay, make the changes. Listen, if your kid doesn't go to the greatest school and he's getting bullied, right? Maybe that's your time for change. Who cares about your job? Try to work on a transfer. And I say it so loosely because when you have no money and you have nothing coming in and your bills are high, and I get it. I can relate to that, you know.
Well, and I'll sprinkle some more context on this because I was thinking about things that, just we're reading in the news, you're seeing in the world, right? And it's interesting, what do you place a priority on? Do you want to be ultra successful, right? Do you want to have multiple businesses? You look at folks like Elon Musk, enormously successful on the outside of things, not only an amazing company in Tesla that's changing the world, another company on top of that, SpaceX that is also changing the world. He's developed companies, but what's the price, right? Because everything, balance doesn't
1000%.
necessarily exist. And so, has he been able to maintain love in his life, relationships? So you have to decide for yourself what's more important. And, it's the interesting thing because money always comes up because money is your ability to move in the world, right? So if you want to go from place to place, you want to be able to go to the grocery store, you want to be able to take a vacation, you want to be able to get a car, you want to be able to, right? Your credit, your money that's in your bank account, those are some of the things that we're always in the mix with, but your priorities can be very different. And so you have to decide, I'm going to be doing this thing on schedule for folks for SR4 Ignite conference next week and doing a lot of thinking about the schedule and how you actually prioritize things. And so, if you're Elon Musk, you prioritize your businesses because that's your mission, right? And so relationship comes secondary. Now, happiness, is the guy happy? You gotta, I'm not inside Elon's head, but you got to decide for yourself what's going to make you happy. And if what's going to make you happy is
1000%
creating a company that's going to change the world, then put that focus there and don't worry about the rest. And don't worry about what Harry says or Sally says, right? But if your priority is family, then you do what you got to do. And I love some of the kind of the no nonsense kind of tips that you're given, right? It's, what can we do to save the money? What do we not need? And I think so many people need this kind of advice because so many people's priorities aren't, making money above things. They want to have relationships with their children. They want to have relationships with their spouse. They want to have relationships with their family. They want to spend time with their family is the most important thing. So how do you build that in for the future? So sorry to kind of go off on that. But
What you're saying is totally true. And so I feel like sometimes I miss the time with my son. He's 15 now. I don't know if I knew any better, but at the same time, my focus was the bills, right? And then I realized, does this ever stop? Now, I'll probably be the only mortgage banker that talks somebody out of trying to buy a house, right? But at the same time, I'm real. And I'm not trying to be convincing about it. I'm trying to tell you, listen, do you really need that? Why don't you take your $100,000, start over?